Peace. Welcome, Brother Mike X Speaks. We're talking about cultural identity. We just shot a few clips called Blackness, the need for a new racial and cultural identity. We need a new positive way of viewing ourselves as individuals and viewing ourselves as a people, or a way of viewing ourselves that promotes us to be at our best instead of, promotes us being at our worst, showing how low we can be and having fun, and thinking that that's cool. We need to be able to provide a better face to our young people, to ourselves, to the God that created us, and also to the world. One of the biggest things that we have to do is we have to get into the driver's seat as far as our education is concerned. This country, has long practiced that they don't want us to know about who we are and who we've been and what we've been through and what that demands of us today. There was once a time where it was criminal, for black people to learn to read and write. And the reason is because they wanted us to be ignorant. They know the power of knowledge, and how knowledge gives you power. It gives you options. It helps you to choose between this way of doing things and that way of doing things. And when you don't have knowledge, you're locked into one way of doing things. I myself, at one point in my life when I was a teenager, the way I had grown up, and without leadership in the community, there was one time that I believed that the only thing the black men were supposed to do was stand on the corner, and I spent a lot of time standing on the corner. And the scariest thing about it, like I said, is that I believed that that's what black men were supposed to do, So, imagine, how the young people today, they a lot of them are feeling the same way. I work with young people. I've been working with young people for 20 years now, and I can tell you by dealing with them on 5 days a week, the mindset is savage. The mindset is anti-education, it's anti-discipline. They don't want older people or anybody else telling them what to do. It's anti-morals. A lot of times they do, it's about immediate gratification. It's not about being empathetic, being compassionate. Those things are looked upon as being soft, as being weak. So a lot of times it's dog eat dog. I'm gonna do whatever I feel like doing, and if you standing in my way, I'm not even sorry for you. You just gonna get dealt with. So anyway, I don't want to, let's talk about some solutions. In the last clip, I was talking about education. And what kind of education? I'm not talking about public school education because, the public school education is part of the problem. The public school education has taught us, that the only thing we've ever been is slaves. And that doesn't capture the attention of young black children. I know it didn't capture my attention. It didn't make me want to learn more about how the only thing my people ever done was be slaves, and it took me, another 15, almost 20 years before I started to realize the true story, that they don't want us to know about. So when I say that we need education, we're going to have to go out there and get it on our own. And it's not going to come on reality TV, and you're not going to find it in those, gangster love romance novels, your story or our story. We're going to have to get involved with reading some books that will challenge us to grow mentally, will challenge us to grow emotionally and spiritually, and push us to be more responsible for our own lives. So I created a book list, and I labeled it a must-read book list for the African American black family. And I'm going to read some of the books on this list to give you an opportunity, if you so choose to go out there on your own to the bookstore and get some of these books and challenge yourself to read these books so that you'll gain a greater understanding and respect for what we've been through as a people, you know, and why we're in the position that we're in presently, and what we need to do, what I need to do and what you need to do to try to make things better, you know, particularly for our young people. So first on the list, of course, is the autobiography of Malcolm X, as told to Alex Haley. This book absolutely is the most powerful book that I ever read. This book helped to make me into the person that I believe myself to be, you know, someone who is positive, someone who has love and concern for the plight of our people, you know, for black people, who has spent, you know, the last 20 years in various capacities striving to bring the people in my neighborhood together so that we can have a greater say-so in our lives. It made me want to be a strong black man, and that's what, you know, as a human being, there shouldn't be no problem with me being a strong black man the way other people present themselves as strong in their own way, in their own community. So the autobiography of Malcolm X is a powerful book that you should definitely check out if you're a black person. The second one is Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Miseducation of the Negro I think I read that book after I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And it's by a brother named Carter G. Woodson. And Carter G. Woodson, Black History Month, Carter G. Woodson is one of the ones responsible for starting Black History Month. And it talks about how in the education system, we are taught to be inferior. You know, we are taught to be dependent. You know, that's the whole thing about hiding your portion of the history, or our portion of our true history, hiding that and hyping up how all of these big conquerors, Columbus, Balboa, Ponce de Leon, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, hyping up all of these people, these white people, so that we become dependent upon them without having any of our own heroes that we can look at that had, you know, were just as strong as them or even stronger, to where we feel that we come from great stock as well. Black Labor, White Wealth by Claude Anderson. This is another powerful book that you need to be able to check out. It talks about how, you know, we're tricked into believing that, you know, go to school, get an education so you can get a good job. They don't teach their children in that way. They teach them to take over the family business, you know. They're about business creation, you know, business ownership, business maintenance. You know, they're striving to own the businesses, while we are pointed towards trying to get a job in the business. And, you know, having a job is cool. You know what I mean? I have 2 jobs. You know what I mean? But, you know, I can't pass my jobs on to my son. You know, I could work a job for 30, 40 years. And after I finished working that job, I can't say, okay, I'm finished with this job. Let me pass this on to you, son, so that you have a job now. Nah, my son got to start from scratch. You know, he has to be able to be educated and have his own job. While they have a business that they've been owning and maintaining and running for 30, 40 years. And as their child comes up, they're like, yo, well, I'm preparing you to take over, you know, and be the head of the, you know, of this business. You know what I mean? And it should be, if they're passing their business and their business is growing stronger and stronger and stronger, and they're passing it from generation to generation, pretty soon you can see why a lot of times they're so far ahead of us. If they're being taught business ownership, maintenance, and, you know, and we're being taught job, you know, get a job, and owning this business, the business gets stronger, it's passed on, it keeps on rising, it keeps on growing, it keeps on spreading. That job, you stay on the same level. You know, if I can't pass my job on to my son, you know, and why, you know, and it shouldn't even be about trying to pass that job on to my son, but you can see why we stay at the same level and they continue to grow and continue to grow and continue to grow. So Black Label White Wealth by Claude Anderson. Check that out. There's a series by a brother named Jawanza Kunjufu. It's called Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. Check these books out. You know, check these books out. I think there's about 5 books in that series. Jawanza Kunjufu is a black educator, you know, based in Chicago. And he's been writing and lecturing and going all over the country to talk about how a lot of times they fear, you know, black men or black boys becoming educated black men. It's a reality. It's a reality, you know. This society would rather have our young boys out standing out on the corner, you know. A lot of people would say, yo, well, do you really believe that? Yeah, I do really believe that. When I look in, I work in non-secure detention. When I look at the majority of the people, young people that come through that program is black and brown, you know, young men. You know, when I read the statistics of the population of prisons across this country, it's like 70% to 80% of the prison population is black, you know, and Latino, you know. And we only, you know, black people are only like 15% of the population of America. So if we're 15% of the population of America, but yet we're 70 to 80% of the population of the prisons, you know, what does that tell you? You know. So, you know, on that note, I've given you about 4 or 5 books. I hope that you will take the opportunity and the responsibility to begin to educate yourself about the issues that confront us as a people and impact our ability to grow and to prosper and to take care of our own. Knowledge is responsibility, you know. It is responsibility. It's responsibility to do something with what you find out to be true. And I think a lot of times that we've gotten so used to not having any responsibility or being able to point to somebody else as the reason why we're in trouble. You know, a lot of us like to use, you know, well, the white man is holding me down. You know, I haven't been given a chance. Well, I'm going to say to you, that's an old excuse. That's an old excuse, and we can't allow that to stop us today from doing what we need to do for ourselves. Nobody's stopping you from anymore from going and getting a book and reading that book and striving to apply that book to your life, you know. And the books that I mentioned tonight are a good start, you know. And on that note, I'm going to sign off, and I want you, you know, you can suggest some of the books that you read, some of the books that have impacted you and helped to, you know, inspire you to be somebody of note in your own life, in your own family, and within our people as a whole, you know. So get back at me, and, you know, let's keep on pushing, you know. Peace. What was that?